for the evening of Saturday, August 27th, 2022. Do 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 do.
I want a girl who will mine for her diamonds. I want a girl who can sort a chest. I want a girl with shears that cut and swords that burn through zombie flesh. I want a girl who knows world generation, who crafts furrows and times her attack. She's modding her community. She's flying through the air. She's smelting out impurities and feeding her cat. I want a girl with a lectern and a full cauldron. I want a girl who logs in early. I want a girl who plays till late. I want a girl with unobstructed creativity who uses a tripwire to ruin your day. With shulker boxes organized and lustrous in a tone that will torch you like desert grass. Who crafts furrows and times her attack. She's smelting out impurities and feeding her cat. I want a girl with a lectern and a full cauldron. Whose shield is emblazoned. I want a girl with good enchantments. On some server we will meet incidentally. We'll start to talk as we shoot skeletons. She wants a spawn with biome convenience. She wants a spawn that's in good repair. She's changing her end from wither to dragon. She's trading her archery for a trident that's self-repairing. I want a girl with a lectern and a full cauldron. Summer is past, but your days keep growing longer. There's no wind in your sails, but the storm's blowing stronger. Walking hard, standing tall, keeping your head up through it all. Fighting fires, spinning plates. Goodness, how it gets so late. Down and dream. Lay your head down and lay your head down and dream. Lay your head down and just let your mind flow downstream. Sprawled out in a moonbeam. Lay your head down and dream. Joe Hills is filmed before a live streaming audience.
That's us! Howdy, y'all. Joe Hills here, recording as I always do in Nashville, Tennessee, and tonight, y'all are my live streaming audience. Welcome, one and all. We are joined to read Chapter 10. That's right, Chapter X, for those of you who speak Latin, in Project Gutenberg's incredible rendition of Bram Stoker's Dracula, by which I mean they put it in HTML tags. Here is a link to everybody who might want to be able to read along at home with Dracula with some HTML tags. Here is that link in all 3 chats. Now, I'm not going to bother my Discord with this second link. The second link is the PayPal link. We are already at the most obnoxious face camera expansion, the Tony Stark helmet cam, thanks to folks tipping extensively during our build contest stream earlier. We had a fantastic time. Y'all, I was so amazed at how hard everybody worked on the server. Like, I knew whatever they did would be cool, but, like, there's a difference between having confidence in people and then, like, seeing what they did, right? Like, you know, you could go, oh, hey, this guy's a pretty good author. I'm sure his next book will be good, too. And then you're reading it, and you're like, whoa! And that was, like, because we've done build contests on that server before. But, like, wow. If you haven't seen the VOD of that, it's going to be there. I made sure not to play any music that would get it copyright struck. But yeah, just amazing, fantastic builds from the community all around. We had 3 fantastic judges joining us for that. Wes Wilson, who's got it going on. Janie Laney, who has internal rhyme and doesn't need a song lyric. And also the incredible Mick Boots, who you might know better as Michaela Abel, one of the authors of Dungeons & Dragons Rime of the Frost Maiden, which is, like, absolutely amazing, as well as several other just incredible new projects on their way, some of which have been published recently, like One Night Strahd. So we had an all-star judging cast. We had an incredible group of Patreon patrons working on amazing builds. Like, I'm still like, so awesome. We need to greet Scar, though. Howdy, Scar! But yeah, so today, though, tonight, we have another very special guest. If you haven't seen it up in the stream title or in the upper right, we have the incredible BadgerSpanner joining us all the way from jolly old England, or as they call it, the United Jolly Old England of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. And thank you so much for joining us so late in the evening, Badger, to read Dracula with us.
Hello. How are you guys doing? Oh, man. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one.
Yep, it's chapter 10. You know it's going to be a good one. We got Lucy Westenra returning. We've got Dr. Sword, which apparently Badger says I'm mispronouncing.
Seward.
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 Seward. Peggy Seward.
Yes.
Peggy Seward. Peggy Seward. Peggy.
But yeah, I saw a couple of people in chat last week going, "Oh yeah, Dr. Sword." Huh? What? No.
I'll take S words for 500, Alex. And yes, that's my best Sean Connery accent.
But yeah, Rebel Z says like steward without the T. Yep, Seward.
Oh, stored. I'm saying it that way on purpose, but also because that's how I actually would normally pronounce stored. Like, if you were like, this guy is the Steward of House Lannister, or Labister. Yeah, the Steward of House Labister. I'd be like, yep, stored, got it. Anyway. So, we are... If you didn't know this, every Saturday night on the HermitCraft server, I try and do some relatively mindless work. So we're making progress toward our mega base, but in a way that's, like, not necessarily the most crazy interesting. You know, we might be killing skeletons at the skeleton spawner, running the smelter, gathering sand, just stuff that doesn't require a ton of concentration. I've tried placing blocks while reading. That's a little bit harder than removing blocks, because I don't really have to be too careful. Like, oh no, I ruined the mining desert. I'm gonna get a strongly worded email from Zadaf. Like, it'll be fine, y'all. NJ says, we just got back from spending the day with Tommy and Quail. They are as delightful in person as online. It was a lovely day. Awesome. I'm glad
I'm
you had a little
jealous.
fun meetup. I'm looking forward to getting up there at some point myself. Probably not going to make it up there, up to the Philly, New York area anytime soon, but at some point. So, okay. If you all are ready, I think let's go ahead and remind people. We don't necessarily read the tips in the middle of the paragraphs, so if you want to get tips in, get this giant face camera out of your way, for example. We are currently 20 away from that next face camera expansion, so if you want to make sure that gets acknowledged before we start reading, now would be a good time to do it.
Yeah, please get rid of Tony Stark's headcam.
Joju says, what would a strongly worded email from Zadaf even sound like? I can't imagine him getting angry about anything. That's why I picked him, because I knew people wouldn't be like, oh man, what kind of strongly worded emails has that person written, right?
I just realized I think I'm quite loud as well on the stream.
Are you? Okay, I'll turn you down on the stream a little. I turned you up in my ears because I couldn't hear you over the game
That is
sound.
valid.
But I'll turn you. I'll adjust my headphones. Okay. So, Lost Cult Music tips 3. Thank you very much, Lost Cult Music, for the first tip of the stream. That gets us 17 away from the next face camera expansion and the entrance of T. Joe Eckelsberg. Okay. NJ Coffee Junkie, no, sorry, NJ Coffee Junkie says, TBH better. I yelped when he first turned the cam on. I do what I can.
Yeah, you're just an inbuilt, scare. There you go. Giant face.
Yeah. Dave USPS says, ZF would come in hot with a how dare you. Yeah, honestly, an email with the subject line, how dare you, from ZF would feel pretty on brand. How dare you?
How dare you?
Oh, skeleton. Several skeletons and Enderman. Enderman's like, I'm out of here. Oh, that is a fast-moving skeleton. Okay.
Is that actually part of the game now, or is that still a bug?
What?
They eat like crazy fast skeletons.
I mean, skeletons are traditionally crazy fast. That's why we surround our bodies with them. I mean, it's just science. They slowly increase the speed of skeletons every update. They just tick it up by like 10%.
Just a little bit. Itty bitty
Itty-bitty skeleton.
A little bit more yeet.
Yeah, removed Hero Brine, sped up skeletons. So, okay, I think we are going to just jump right in to the beginning of Chapter 10, which opens with a letter from Dr. Sword. Or, sorry, Dr. Seward to the Honorable.
Thank you.
Did I get it?
Yeah, that was pretty close.
Yay! Letter. Dr. Seward to Honorable Arthur Holmwood. 6 September. My dear Art, my news today is not so good. Lucy this morning had gone back a bit. There is, however, one good thing which has arisen from it. Mrs. Westenra was naturally anxious concerning Lucy, and has consulted me professionally about her. I took advantage of the opportunity, and I told her that my old master, Van Helsing, the great specialist, was coming to stay with me, and that I would put her in his charge conjointly with it myself. So now we can come and go without alarming her unduly, for a shock to her would mean sudden death, and this, in Lucy's weak condition, might be disastrous to her. We are hedged in with difficulties, all of us, my poor fellow, but please God, we shall come through them all right. If any need, I shall write, so that if you do not hear from me, take it for granted that I am simply waiting for news. In haste, yours ever, John Seward. Dr. Seward's Diary. 7th September. The first thing Van Helsing said to me when we met at Liverpool Street was,
"Have you said anything to our young friend, the lover of her?"
"No," I said. "I waited until I had seen you, as I said in my telegram. I wrote him a letter simply telling him that you were coming, as Miss Westenra was not so well, and that I should let him know if need be."
"Right, my friend, quite right. Better he not know as yet. Perhaps he shall never know. I pray so. But if it be needed, then he shall know all. And my good friend John, let me caution you. You deal with madmen. All men are mad in some way or the other, and insomuch as you deal discreetly with your madmen, so deal with God's madmen too, the rest of the world. You tell not your madmen what you do, nor why you do it. You tell them not what you think. So you shall keep knowledge in its place, where it may rest, where it may gather its kind around it, and breed. You and I shall keep as yet what we know here. Here." He touched me on the heart.
He touched me on the heart and on the forehead, then touched himself in the same way.
"I have for myself thoughts at the present. Later I shall unfold to you."
"Why not now? It may do some good. We may arrive at some decision." He stopped and looked at me and said,
"My friend John, when the corn is grown, even before it has ripened, while the milk of its mother earth is in him, and the sunshine has not yet begun to paint him with his gold, the husbandman he pull the ear and rub him between his rough hands, and blow away the green chaff, and say to you, 'Look, he's good corn. He will make good crop when the time comes.'"
I did not see the application, and I told him so. For reply, he reached over and took my ear in his hand and pulled it playfully, as he used to long ago do at lectures, and said,
"The good husbandman tell you so because he knows, but not till then. But you do not find the good husbandman dig up his planted corn to see if he grow. That is for the children who play at husbandry, and not for those who take it as the work of their life. See you now, friend John, I have sown my corn, and nature has her work to do in making it sprout, if he sprout at all. There's some promise, and I wait till the ear begins to swell."
He broke off, for he evidently saw I understood. Then he went on, and very gravely,
"You were always a careful student, and your casebook ever more full than the rest. You were only student then. Now you are master, and I trust that good habit have not fail. Remember, my friend, that knowledge is stronger than memory, and we should not trust the weaker. Even if you have not kept the good practice, let me tell you that this case of our dear Miss is one that may be, mind I say, may be, of such interest to us and others, that all the rest may not make him kick the beam, as your people say. Take, then, good note of it. Nothing is too small. I counsel you, put down in record even your doubts and surmises. Hereafter, it may be of interest to you to see how true you guess. We learn from failure, not from success."
When I described Lucy's symptoms, the same as before, but infinitely more marked. He looked very grave, but said nothing. He took with him a bag in which were many instruments and drugs.
The ghostly paraphernalia of our beneficial trade,
as he once called them in one of his lectures, the equipment of a professor of the healing craft. When we were shown in, Mrs. Westenra met us. She was alarmed, but nearly as much as I expected to find her. Nature, in one of her beneficent moods, has ordained that even death has some antidote to its own terrors. Here, in a case where moods has ordained that Here, in a case where any shock may prove fatal, matters are so ordered that, from some cause or another, the things not personal, even the terrible change in her daughter, to whom she is so attached, do not seem to reach her. It is something like the way Dame Nature gathers round a foreign body an envelope of some insensitive tissue, which can protect from evil that which it would otherwise harm by contact. If this be an ordered selfishness, then we should pause before we condemn anyone for the vice of egoism, for there may be deeper root for its causes than we have knowledge of. I used my knowledge of this phase of spiritual pathology and laid down a rule that she should not be present with Lucy or think of her illness more than was absolutely required. She assented readily, so readily that I saw again the hand of nature fighting for life. Van Helsing and I were shown up to Lucy's room. If I was shocked when I saw her yesterday, I was horrified when I saw her today. She was ghastly, chalky pale, and the red seemed to have gone, even from her lips and gums. The bones of her face stood out prominently. Her breathing was painful to see or hear. Van Helsing's face grew set as marble, and his eyebrows converged till they almost touched over his nose. Lucy lay motionless and did not seem to have strength to speak, so for a while we were all silent. Then Van Helsing beckoned to me, and we went gently out of the room. The instant we had closed the door, he stepped quickly along the passage to the next door, which was open. Then he pulled me in quickly with him and closed the door.
My God! This is dreadful! There is no time to be lost. She will die for sheer want of blood to keep the heart's action as it should be. There must be a transfusion of blood at once. Is it you or me?
I am younger and stronger, Professor. It must be me.
Then get ready at once. I will bring up my bag. I am prepared.
I went downstairs with him, and as we were going, there was a knock at the hall door. When we reached the hall, the maid had just opened the door, and Arthur was stepping quickly in. He rushed up to me, saying in an eager whisper,
Jack, I was so anxious. I read between the lines of your letter, and have been in agony. The dad was better, so I ran down here to see for myself. Is not that gentleman Dr. Van Helsing? I am so thankful to you, sir, for coming.
When first the professor eye had lit upon him, he had been angry at his interruption at sunset time. But now, as he took in his stalwart proportions and recognized the strong young manhood which seemed to emanate from him, his eyes gleamed. Without a pause, he said to him gravely, as he held out his hand,
Sir, you have come in time. You are the lover of our dear miss. She is bad, Very bad! Nay, my child, do not go like that.
For suddenly he grew pale and sat down in the chair, almost fainting.
You are to help her. You can do more than any that live, and your courage is your best help.
What can I do? Asked Arthur hoarsely.
Tell me, and I shall do it. My life is hers, and I would give the last drop of blood in my body for her.
The professor has a strongly humorous side, and I could, from old knowledge, detect a trace of its origin in his answer.
My young sir, I do not ask as much as that. Not the last!
What shall I do? There was fire in his eyes, and his open nostril quivered with intent. Van Helsing slapped him on his shoulder.
Come, you are a man, and it is a man we want. You are better than me, better than my friend John.
Arthur looked bewildered, and the professor went on by explaining in a kindly way.
Young miss is very bad. Very bad. She wants blood, and blood she must have, or die. My friend John and I have consulted, and we are about to perform what we call a transfusion of blood, to transfer from full veins of one to the empty veins which pine for them. John was to give his blood, as he is more young and more strong than me.
Here Arthur took my hand and wrung it hard in silence.
But now you are here, and you are more good than us, old or young, who toil much in the world of thought. Our nerves are not so calm, and our blood not so bright as yours.
Arthur turned to him and said,
If you only knew how gladly I would die for her, you would understand.
He stopped with a sort of choke in his voice.
Good boy,
said Van Helsing.
In the not so far off, you will be happy you have done all for her, your love. Come now, and be silent. You shall kiss her once more before it is done. But then you must go, and you must leave at my sign. Say no word to Madame. You know how it is with her. There must be no shock. Any knowledge of this would be one. Come!
We all went up to Lucy's room. Arthur, by direction, remained outside. Lucy turned her head and looked at us, but said nothing. She was not asleep, but she was simply too weak to make the effort. Her eyes spoke to us. That was all. Van Helsing took some things from his bag and laid them on a little table out of sight. Then he mixed a narcotic, and coming over to the bed, he said cheerily,
No, little miss, here is your medicine. Drink it off, like a good child. See, I lift you so that to swallow is easy. Yes!
She had made the effort with success. It astonished me how long the drug took to act. This, in fact, marked the extent of her weakness. The time seemed endless until sleep began to flicker in her eyelids. At last, however, the narcotic began to manifest its potency, and she fell into a deep sleep. When the professor was satisfied, he called Arthur into the room and bade him strip off his coat. Then he added,
You may take that one little kiss while I bring over the table. Friend John, help me!
So neither of us looked whilst he bent over her. Van Helsing, turning to me, said,
He is so young and strong, and of blood so pure, that we need not defibrillate it.
Then, with swiftness but absolute method, Van Helsing performed the operation. As the transfusion went on, something like life seemed to come back to poor Lucy's cheeks, and through Arthur's growing pallor, the joy of his face seemed absolutely to shine. After a bit, I began to grow anxious, for the loss of blood was telling on Arthur. I could hear my own heart beat. Presently, he said in a soft voice,
"Do not stir an instant. It is enough. You attend him. I will look to her."
When all was over, I could see how much Arthur was weakened. I dressed the wound and took his arm to bring him away, when Van Helsing spoke, without turning around. The man seems to have eyes in the back of his head.
"The brave lover, I think, deserves another kiss, which he shall have presently."
And as he had now finished his operation, he adjusted the pillow to the patient's head. As he did so, the narrow black velvet band, which she always seems to wear around her throat, buckled with an old diamond buckle which her lover had given her, was dragged a little up, and showed a red mark on her throat. Arthur did not notice it, but I could hear the deep hiss of indrawn breath, which is one of Van Helsing ways of betraying emotion. He said nothing at the moment, but turned to me, saying,
"Now take down our brave young lover. He must not stay here."
Oh, wait, hold on.
"Give him the port wine and let him lay down a while. He must then go home and rest, sleep much, and eat much. And he may be recruited of what he has so given of his love. He must not stay here. Hold, a moment. I may take it, sir, that you are anxious of result. Then bring it with you that in all ways the operation is successful. You have saved her life at this time, and can go home and rest easy in mind that all that can be is. I shall tell her all when she is well. She shall love you none the less for what you have done. Goodbye!"
When Arthur had gone, I went back to the room. Lucy was sleeping gently, but her breathing was stronger. I could see the counterpane move as her breast heaved. By the bedside sat Van Helsing, looking at her intently. The velvet band again covered the red mark. I asked the professor in a whisper, "What do you make of that mark on her throat?"
"What do you make of it?"
"I have not examined it yet," I answered, and then proceeded there to loose the band. Just over the external jugular there were 2 punctures, and not large, but not wholesome looking. There was no sign of disease, but the edges were white and worn-looking, as if by some trituration. It at once occurred to me that this wound, or whatever it was, might be the means of that manifest loss of blood. But I abandoned the idea as soon as it formed, for such a thing could not be. The whole bed would have to be drenched to a scarlet with blood, which the girl had lost to leave such a pallor as she had before the transfusion.
Well,
I could make nothing of it. The professor stood up.
I must go back to Amsterdam tonight. There are books and things there, which I want. You must remain here all the night, and you must not let your sight pass from her.
Shall I have a nurse?
We are the best nurses, you and I. You keep watch all night. See that she is well fed, and that
Nothing disturbs her. You must not sleep all the night. Later on, we can sleep, you and I. I shall be back as soon as possible. And then we may begin. May begin? What on earth do you mean? We shall see, he answered as he hurried out. He came back a moment later and put his head inside the door and said with a warning finger held up, Remember, she is your charge. If you leave her and harm befall, you shall not sleep easy ever hereafter. So that was the end of the 7th of September journal entry for Dr. Sword. Sorry, Badger, that you didn't get to talk at all.
Oh no, it's all good. It was good that I didn't have a live mic, because earlier Twitch chat were trying to work out what kind of diary Dr. Seward had.
Oh.
And they decided that it would be a Lisa Frank unicorn glitter one.
No, they actually described it when they initially introduced it. Dr. Sword's diary is actually a wax cylinder recording device.
Some of them are,
yeah. So Dr. Sword is actually, he's so high tech, he's walking around like Macaulay Culkin with a tape recorder.
Yeah. There's just hissing in the background. Just put some kind of record hiss.
Yeah, so Dr. Sword's notes are all recorded onto wax
They
cylinders.
But yeah, just the idea of having Lisa Frank diaries for everyone.
Nice. Yeah, it's a good thing Arthur and Lucy have the same blood type, because I don't think they knew about that yet. They figured out blood transfusions before they figured out blood types, and boy, were blood transfusions the reason they figured out blood types.
Zircon says, Lisa Frank glittery wax cylinder.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you put glitter in the wax cylinder, I think that might cause some issues.
I mean, you could put glitter around the edges so that it's not like the bit that you put the stylus on.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I do think that the kind of... I'm not doing exactly Artie the strongest man in the world. Wait, did you have Artie the strongest man in the world in England? Probably not.
Nope.
Oh, okay. So he's a superhero from this kids' TV show. I am Artie, the strongest man in the world. Boy, we must go. But yeah.
Nice. But it's also somehow like Christmas Carol voice as well. Come and know me better, man.
Come and know me better, man. It's also my kind of meanwhile in the Hall of Justice, Batman and Robin worked the Bat computer with the information provided by Aquaman. Meanwhile, Lindsay and Tobias couldn't figure out what Michael meant exactly, so they just bought all the dresses.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot you can do with this. Quick reminder that we are $17 away from the next face camera expansion. We're currently at the Tony Stark helmet cam phase, the most obnoxious face camera expansion, which y'all are apparently having a field day with, so that's fine. I'm out here in the fields, so far from what's real. I don't know the words to the song or the melody. This might not all scan or hold to pitch, man, but this song I've heard occasionally. Bomb, bomb, bomb. Bomb, bomb, bomb. Dracula as Arrested Development could be great. Yeah?
Oh, man.
Meanwhile, Lucy had 3 suitors. Mina may have been upset that her fiancé was gone, but Lucy was about to have 3 of them. If she could only decide.
We need to pray for her. For her happiness.
Meanwhile, in the chapel, Mrs. Westenra was praying for Lucy's happiness when she noticed something odd by the candelabra.
Beautiful.
Oh, so apparently that song is called Baba O'Reilly by The Who, which is basically a string of nonsense words. Baba O'Reilly by what?
By who?
What could my happiness cost, Michael? One Preya? It's only Lucy's happiness. What could it cost? One Preya. There's something here. Oh, sorry. It's from Doctor Who. Apparently, I don't know all the old Doctor Who. Apparently, this is from the 60s or 70s.
The World Health Organization sang what? Says Nepeta.
Apparently. Yeah, so the band's name isn't actually Doctor Who. That's just the name of the album. I feel like I can't say lies like that with the Tony Stark helmet cam because I'm obviously grinning.
God,
It's super evident. We hold this phase to be self-evident that all Whos are not created equal. They cannot be interchanged and interspersed via some common mathematical property. No, Doctor Who was the monster.
Yeah, Geek of Many Topics says Lucy has 3 suitors? Good for her.
There's a whole... Didn't they mention, Oh boy. Yeah, you could do something... You could do something with, Because they even make the joke about, or it's not a joke, but they make a comment about Lucy gaining weight. And so, like, if you're going to do the mom from Arrested Development, she's always commenting on Lindsay's weight. There's a joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a joke there. It's actually the name of the Who's doctor. Well, you've heard of a 3-piece suit. I don't see why 3 suitors a piece is so bad. Oh, I actually priced cauldrons today. People are talking about cauldrons. So, I found a microwave-safe ceramic one that's $60. I did not buy it.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah. I did buy some other scary stuff for the Wednesday craft stream, though.
Yay, spooky stuff.
Yay. Oh, apparently Baba O'Reilly is from The Grinch.
Really?
Yeah,
I
because
thought it was...
of the Who's in Whoville.
EastEnders. So I was just thinking of random BBC programs.
I was gonna say, you know, eventually the Dr. Seuss stuff is gonna go out of copyright, and Doctor Who is totally gonna visit Whoville the same way that like he ends up in Charles Dickens novels today. There's gonna be a Christmas special in 2045 where Doctor Who ends up in Whoville, and I think that you have to set this up as a master episode where like. Because it's one of those things where he's just like, okay, well, this is too preposterous. And the master is like, or who preposterous? No, I don't.
Cabras says, Horton, here's a TARDIS.
I'm Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss isn't a real man. Theodore Lessig is a real man. Who's that? I don't know. Third base. Rosalia Moon Tippin 5 who says, ooh, spooky stuff, what's happening on the craft stream? I picked up something to inspire a October build from the craft store today, but we'll reveal that on Wednesday. Gusty Gale tips 2, who says tipping for the Cauldron Fund. Thank you, but I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to find an affordable one. I'm gonna hold out for a good but affordable cauldron. It's better to do certain things right, because if you go buy a cheap cauldron and it like sucks but isn't necessarily broken, right? And then you're like, oh, there's a better one. Now you've got 2 cauldrons that both take up a ton of space. They don't nest with each other, and like you never use the second best cauldron. You only use the good one, but you can't bring yourself to get rid of the second best one because it was still $60, right?
But also, like, your microwave, I wouldn't trust anything that says microwave safe in it for too long, because the amount of, like, plates and stuff I have broken in your
this is
thing,
the
I'd
new
be like,
microwave.
that would be such
I've got
a
the
waste.
new microwave now, remember? Oh yeah,
No, but
it did
I've
keep breaking.
broken 2 plates.
I wonder if it's something like some sort of irregularity with the power. Maybe I need to like feed it through a power filtered UPS or something.
That might make sense.
Because I've got all the other really good electronics on like high-end power filtering things, but I didn't bother with the microwave and the rice cooker.
Yeah, might be it. I don't know, but yeah, nah. I wouldn't trust a $60 like cauldron in that microwave.
No, I honestly wouldn't either. But like the fact that it said microwave safe and dishwasher safe meant at least you could put hot stuff in it without it melting. Like, so if I used it for like queso,
you could like pour queso in it.
Yeah. That was my big thing. Is like people are like, "Oh, get a plastic cauldron," and I'm like, "What am I gonna serve in a plastic cauldron? Guacamole? What is this? You serve guacamole in a giant mortar and pestle. Pay attention, people." Actually, you serve it in a normal-sized mortar and pestle. But a normal-sized mortar and pestle is about the size of a small cauldron. So, look, don't try to tell me what to put in a cauldron.
Nice.
Okay. So,
shall we resume?
I think we should. I was kind of giving people time to see if they wanted to jump in with tips to get us out of the Tony Stark helmet cam, but apparently they're enjoying my Who-related humor. My humor, if you will. But also, I've been doing a lot of voices. And, wow, that that build contest stream actually took a lot more out of me than I was expecting. Because, like, with 3 judges and people introducing stuff, I didn't have to do as much talking as usual. But, like, it was, like, wow. Like, really
You
impressive.
had to keep up with a lot more than usual.
Yeah, it felt like coming out of, like, we actually joked there's, like, an IMAX movie sphere in one of the things. But it actually reminds me of a feeling that I get sometimes when I walk out of, like, an IMAX theater or a planetarium. Like, where I just come out of it feeling a certain type of tired. Where I'm just like, wow, I'm overwhelmed by spectacle. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like
all hail the orb.
It was just like, wow. This was like a lot. In a really good way, but, like, it was still, like, overwhelming. Okay, so we're going to swap that one out right now. How are we doing on... Yeah, so we still have room for some more.
Now I really want queso.
Well, I was going to say, do you have any?
No, we don't have good queso in the UK.
Oh. Well, when you get back here in October, we can have plenty of queso. It's a very popular autumnal treat.
Yeah, well, we do have, like, actual proper cheese here, though, too. So I could just have cheese on toast or something.
That's fair. Okay. Now, Rosalia, if you are buying your mortar and pestle from Amazon, you might end up with a cheap rip-off or knockoff, right? No. You go to an actual kitchen, you go to, like, a restaurant supply store for stuff like that.
And also, like, having an Amazon courier have to carry that kind of weight around as well.
Yeah, like a proper mortar and pestle should be made out of marble usually. Like because you don't want like whatever you're grinding up to like get in there. Like it's gonna be heavy.
Just be nice to your couriers and don't order ridiculously heavy things for a pittance when you know that people aren't going to be paid properly for it.
Oh yeah, there was this thing where this guy who's like big in the like maker YouTube space. I forget his name. He apparently ordered this super powerful magnet, and they have like they basically the courier service FedEx or whatever marked the package as undeliverable, despite the fact that he saw that it got into the van in the distribution center near his house. He's like, I'm pretty sure that they put it down on something metal and couldn't get it out of the truck.
Yeah.
And so then the company had to send him another one. And then when it arrived, he's like, I came home from work and saw this at my front door, and there's just a box stuck to his screen door. Just like on the like just 3 feet above the ground. Yeah, and he's just like, I'm pretty sure that this guy had like tried to knock and it just got stuck to the screen door and he decided to walk off. He got too close to the metal of the door without realizing it.
Yeah, yeah.
Quiet Devious says, wouldn't a marble, mortar, and pestle be damaged by acidic food? I mean, there's ways that you can treat it, and there's also, you know, like if you wash it out.
You would put oil in it first anyway,
yeah,
to protect it if you're doing lemon juice and stuff in it. But also you can clean it afterwards with something alkaline anyway. It's fine.
Okay, so I think we are ready to resume. Sorry, I know it's late there, Badger. I just wanted to pal around for a little bit and hang out.
Yeah,
because yeah, that Artie the strongest man in the world voice definitely.
It really takes it out of you, I bet.
Yeah, it's just nice to drink my coffee and give you a chance to talk to.
Yay!
Yay! So let's go ahead and resume. Quick reminder, though, before we do, we are 10 away from the next face camera expansion, and tips are welcome via paypal.me/JoeHills and YouTube Super Chat. Dr. Sword's Diary. Continued. 8th September. I sat up all night with Lucy. The opiate worked itself off toward dusk, and she waked naturally. She looked a different being from what she had been before the operation. Her spirits were good, and she was full of a happy vivacity, but I could see evidences of the absolute prostration which she had undergone. When I told Mrs. Westenra that Dr. Van Helsing had directed that I should sit up with her, she almost pooh-poohed the idea, pointing out her daughter's renewed strength and excellent spirits. I was firm, however, and made preparations for my long vigil. When her maid had prepared her for the night, I came in, having in the meantime had supper, and took a seat by the bedside. She did not in any way make objection, but looked at me gratefully whenever I caught her eye. After a long spell, she seemed to be sinking off to sleep, but with an effort seemed to pull herself together, and shook it off. This was repeated several times with greater effort and shorter pauses as the time moved on. It was apparent she did not want to sleep, so I tackled the subject at once. You do not want to go to sleep?
No, I am afraid.
Afraid to go to sleep? Why so? It is the boon we all crave for.
But if you were like me, if sleep was to you a presage of horror.
A presage of horror? What on earth do you mean?
I don't know. Oh, I don't know. What is so terrible? All this weakness comes to me in sleep until I dread the very thought.
But, my dear girl, you may sleep tonight. I am here watching you, and I can promise you that nothing will happen.
I can trust you.
I seized the opportunity and said, I promise you that if I see any evidence of bad dreams, I shall wake you at once.
You will? Oh, you will, really? How good you are to me. Then I will sleep.
And almost at the word, she gave a deep sigh of relief and sank back, asleep. All night long I watched by her. She never stirred, but slept on and on in a deep, tranquil, life-giving, health-giving sleep. Her lips were slightly parted, and her breast rose and fell with the regularity of a pendulum. There was a little smile on her face, and it was evident that no bad dreams had come to disturb her peace of mind. In the early morning, her maid came, and I left her in her care and took myself back home, for I was anxious about many things. I sent a short wire to Dr. Van Helsing and to Arthur, telling them of the excellent result of the operation. My own work, with its manifold arrears, took me all day to clear off. It was dark when I was able to inquire about my zoophagous patient. The report was good. He had been quite quiet for the past day and night. A telegram came from Van Helsing at Amsterdam whilst I was at dinner, that I should be at Hillingham tonight, suggesting that I should be at Hillingham tonight, as it might be well to be at hand, and stating he was leaving by the night mail, and would join me early in the morning. So that concludes the 8th of September. Thank you for catching your cue on that sigh. We don't rehearse this or mark it up or anything in advance, but 9th September. I was pretty tired and worn out when I got to Hillingham. For 2 nights I had hardly had a week of sleep, and my brain was beginning to feel that numbness which marks cerebral exhaustion. Lucy was up and in cheerful spirits. When she shook hands with me, she looked sharply at my face and said,
No sitting up tonight for you. You are worn out. I'm quite well again. Indeed, I am. And if there is to be any sitting up, it is I who will sit up with you.
I would not argue the point, but went and had my supper. Lucy came with me, and enlivened by her charming presence, I made an excellent meal, and had a couple glasses of the more than excellent port. Then Lucy took me upstairs, and showed me a room next to her own, where a cozy fire was burning.
Now, you must stay here. I shall leave this door open, and my door too. You can lie on the sofa, for I know that nothing would induce any of you doctors to go to bed while there is a patient above the horizon. If I want anything, I shall call out, and you can come to me at once.
I could not but acquiesce, for I was dog-tired, and could not have sat up had I tried. So, on her renewing her promise to call me if she should want anything, I lay on the sofa and forgot all about everything. So that concludes day 9 of September in Dr. Sword's journal or diary. Rosalia Moon, thank you very much for rolling in, and tipping 10, who says, why is Dracula consistently drinking Lucy's blood? There's an entire city of people. If he wanted to not draw attention, he should split the difference with the other millions of other people. Badger, do you have any theories on that?
I think it's deeply personal because Dracula knows that Lucy is, adjacent to Harker.
What
and also I think the thrill of the hunt is part of it rather than anything else.
Yeah, Dracula probably also isn't used to, doctors. If that makes any sense. The ability of people to use clues. Dracula grew up before Sherlock Holmes existed. He doesn't have a concept of like a
and
detective story.
it's like this kind of like, oh, she's better again. I can drink her again. There we go. Woohoo!
Here we go. Expand Joe. Do 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 do. And we are going to lower the Joe opacity now to 50% in T. Joe Ecclesburg mode. Thank you very much, Roselia Moon, for getting us there. We are 20 away from the next expansion. I mean, if you think about it, though, there's also, like, I don't know. There's probably, like, 24 billiards halls in a major city. But the guys who run tables might only circulate between the same 3 or 4. Right, because they know that the people who work there aren't going to hassle them or whatever, right? Like, you kind of figure out, like, I don't think that Dracula is only drinking Lucy, necessarily at this point. I think, though, that she's probably in some sort of rotation. She's just the point of view character out of everyone in that rotation. I don't know. Do you think this is a soul thing, though, Badger?
It might be a soul thing, yeah.
Yeah, I'm also not sure how often he has to eat. In like, I mean, they might explain it later, but I don't.
Yeah,
really...
I think they might do. But Augusta Gale says, I would suppose 100-year-old vamp would be a little behind the times. He is not 100. He is like 1,000 years old.
Yeah, no, he fought in the ancient wars against the Carthaginians, I think. He mentions.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. So like, that was like...
Yeah,
that
when was the last time Northern Africa invaded Romania? That's what we're looking at.
Well, no, he's meant to be like that side is also they were he's meant to be a Turkish lord or something, and that was like how it came through that way. Or he's based on Vlad Tepes, who was a like at that point like a horrible leader of like battles against the Turkish and people like that who kept coming in.
Okay. Welcome, Error 404. We are about to resume our reading of Dracula. I don't know why I am slipping into this voice. It is a mystery, unknown to me in any way. So we're going to move on, though, to the 9th September entry of Miss Lucy Westenra's diary. Badger, would you like to take it away?
Sure. I feel so happy tonight. I have been so miserably weak that to be able to think and move about, like feeling sunshine after a long spell of east wind out of a steel sky. Somehow Arthur feels very, very close to me. I seem to feel his presence warm about me. I suppose it is that sickness and weakness are selfish things, and turn our inner eyes and sympathy on ourselves, while health and strength give love reign, and in thought and feeling that he can wander where he wills. I know where my thoughts are, if Arthur only knew. My dear, your ears must tingle as you sleep, as mine do waking. Oh, the blissful rest of last night. How I slept, with that dear good Dr. Seward watching me. And tonight I shall not fear to sleep, since he is close at hand and within call. Thank everybody for being so good to me. Thank God. Good night, Arthur.
And that concludes Lucy Westenra's diary from the 9th September. Let's go ahead and lay our heads down and dream here and ponder its mystery. Gusty Gale says, "Yay, we all prayed for Lucy and it worked. She's finally happy."
Pray for my happiness.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Like I just can't, like, I've read this before, like, but it was before Corinne was born. It was over a decade ago, probably 11, 12 years, maybe 13. So, like, that didn't jump out at me at the time. It's funny how different stuff jumps out at you when you read something aloud or versus, like, read it quietly or listen to it in a book on tape. Like, I really think there's something to enjoying the same novel different ways if it's something that you really want to engage with, in the same way that, like, if you really want to understand a piece of architecture or engineering, building a model or drawing it is like really interesting and valuable. So now that Lucy's had a transfusion, her blood will taste different. Good point, Rosalia. Yeah, maybe that's why Dracula hasn't been back. Actually, he probably assumes that he drained her so much last time that she won't be better for weeks. He might not know about blood transfusions, right? Or presumably
Yeah,
wouldn't.
exactly. Yeah, you wouldn't expect he would.
So the reason he's back isn't necessarily that Dr. Seward is palling around.
But it might be, you know, the next time he comes, he tastes the difference.
Yeah, we'll have to find out. Nightshade Owl Live says, surely this will end well for Lucy. Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. No one else in this story is more deserving of happiness. No one expects the blood transfusion.
Thank you, Emily W. 952.
Yay. Okay, so we are moving on to 10th September in Dr. Seward's diary. This is this is the second to last diary entry of the chapter. So once again, reminded folks, if you enjoy these Dracula streams, last week people got really excited talking about how I should read other books in the future, but if these streams aren't necessarily bringing in money, that isn't necessarily... Like, I'm definitely going to finish Dracula regardless of revenue, because I'm really enjoying this, but whether or not I can justify doing something I enjoy this much, or if it's just purely self-indulgent, is going to be a consideration as I figure out, you know, going forward, if this is something we revisit. It also affects, you know, other elements. Like, basically, I'm not at a point where I can be completely self-indulgent with all of my art. Some things I have to make decisions about around, you know, making rent and whatnot. So yeah, if you do enjoy these streams, please support them when you can. For those who can't, don't worry about it. Like I said, I'm having more fun with this than I would be otherwise. It's a blast having Badger here. But, you know. Well, that's a creeper.
Wah!
Wah! Wah! Pray for the creeper's happiness. You didn't pray hard enough. God has forsaken you. And your creeper. So here we go. Just grabbing some more sand. So, okay, let's go ahead then. Let me make sure that we aren't missing PayPal tips. I'm gonna, because we haven't gotten a single PayPal tip this evening, and either that means that the alerts aren't working, or that we don't have any tips. So I'm gonna feel really dumb if I'm complaining about people not tipping. I'm trying not to complain, but I am just, you know, stating like the logistical facts of long-term planning here. But yeah, I'm gonna feel really bad if people are like, "What the heck, Joe?" saying you gotta get tips, and then like in the meantime, it's like, I just gave you $20, but no. Okay, cool, no tips. Okay, at least. Hey, CE0 tips 20 and says, I vote for more reading in the YouTube super chat. Thank you, CE0. Here we go. It's time to expand. Just do. And we are going to lower the Joe Pasty now to 42%. If you had questions about that or anything else, there's your answer. Okay, so let's go ahead and resume the reading with Dr. Seward's diary.
Don't forget to pray for Lucy's happiness.
I won't. Dr. Seward's diary. 10th September. I was conscious of the professor's hand on my head and started awake all in a second. That is one of the things we learn in an asylum at any rate. And how is our patient? When I left her, well, or rather, when she left me. Come, let us see. And together we walked into the room. The blind was drawn, and I went over to raise it gently, whilst Van Helsing stepped, with his soft, cat-like tread, over to the bed. As I raised the blind, and the morning sunlight flooded the room, I heard the professor's low hiss of inspiration, and knowing its rarity, a deadly fear shot through my heart. As I passed over, he moved back, and his exclamation of horror, "Gott in Himmel!" needed no enforcement from his agonized face. He raised his hand and pointed to the bed, and his iron face was drawn and ashen white. I felt my knees beginning to tremble. There, on the bed, seemingly in a swoon, lay poor Lucy, more horribly white and wan-looking than ever. Even the lips were white, and the gums seemed to have shrunken back from the teeth, as we see sometimes in a corpse after a prolonged illness. Van Helsing raised his foot to stamp in anger, but the instinct of his life and all the long years of habit stood to him, and he put it down again softly.
"Quick! Bring the brandy!"
I flew to the dining room and returned with the decanter. He wetted the poor white lips with it, and together we rubbed palm and wrist and heart. He felt her heart, and after a few minutes of agonizing suspense, said,
"It is not too late. It beats, though but feebly. All our work is undone. We must begin again. There is no young Arthur here now. I have to call on you yourself this time, friend John."
As he spoke, he was dipping into his bag and producing the instruments for transfusion. I had taken off my coat and rolled up my shirt sleeve. There was no possibility of an opiate just at present, and no need of one. So, without a moment's delay, we began the operation. After a time, it did not seem a short time either, for the draining away of one's blood, no matter how willingly it be given, is a terrible feeling. Van Helsing held up a warning finger.
"Do not stir, but I fear that with growing strength she may wake, and that would make danger, oh, so much danger, but I shall precaution take. I shall give a hypodermic injection of morphia."
He proceeded then, swiftly and deftly, to carry out his intent. The effect on Lucy was not bad, for the faint seemed to merge subtly into the narcotic sleep. It was with a feeling of personal pride that I could see a faint tinge of color steal back into pallid cheeks and lips. No man knows, till he experiences it, what it is to feel his own life-blood drawn away into the veins of the woman he loves. The professor watched me critically.
"That will do."
"All ready? You took a great deal more from art." To which he smiled a sad sort of smile as he replied,
"He is her lover, her fiancé. You have work, much work to do for her and for others, and the present will suffice."
When we stopped the operation, he attended to Lucy, whilst I applied digital pressure to my own incision. I laid down, whilst I waited his leisure to attend me, for I felt faint and a little sick. By and by he bound up my wound and sent me downstairs to get a glass of wine for myself. As I was leaving the room, he came after me and half whispered,
"Mind, nothing should be said of this. If our young lover should turn up unexpected as before, no word to him. It would at once frighten and enjealous him. There must be none. So."
When I came back, he looked at me carefully and said,
"You are not the much worse. Go into the room and lie on your sofa and rest a while. Then have breakfast and come here to me."
I followed out his orders, for I knew how right and wise they were. I had done my part, and now my next duty was to keep up my strength. I felt very weak, and in the weakness lost something of the amazement at which had occurred. I fell asleep on the sofa, however, wondering over and over again how Lucy had made such retrograde movement, and how she could have been drained of so much blood with no sign anywhere to show for it. I think I must have continued my wonder in my dreams, for sleeping and waking, my thoughts always came back to the little punctures in her throat and ragged, exhausted appearance of their edges, tiny though they were. Lucy slept well into the day, and when she woke, she was fairly well and strong, though not nearly as much so as the day before. When Van Helsing had seen her, he went out for a walk, leaving me in charge, with strict injunctions that I was not to leave her for a moment. I could hear his voice in the hall, asking the way to the nearest telegraph office. Lucy chatted with me freely, and seemed quite unconscious that anything had happened. I tried to keep her amused and interested. When her mother came up to see her, she did not seem to notice any change whatsoever, but said to me gratefully,
Shall I do it?
I was going to say, do you want to do Lucy's mother, or should I do Lucy's mother?
Yeah, I'll do it. We owe you so much, Dr. Seward, for all you have done. You really must now take care not to overwork yourself. You are looking pale yourself. You want a wife to nurse and look after you a bit. That you do.
As she spoke, Lucy turned crimson, though it was only momentarily, for her poor wasted veins could not stand for long such an unwanted drain to the head. The reaction came in excessive pallor as she turned imploring eyes on me. I smiled and nodded and laid my finger on my lips. With a sigh, she sank back among her pillows. Van Helsing returned in a couple of hours, and presently said to me,
"Now you go home and eat much and drink enough. Make yourself strong. I stay here tonight, and I shall sit up with the little miss myself. You and I must watch the case, and we must have none other to know. I have grave reasons. Do not ask them. Think what you will. Do not fear to think even the most not probable. Good night."
In the hall, 2 of the maids came to me and asked if they or either of them might not sit up with Miss Lucy. They implored me to let them, and when I said that it was either he or I should sit up, they asked me quite piteously to intercede with the foreign gentleman. I was much touched by their kindness. Perhaps it is because I am weak at present, and perhaps was on Lucy's account that their devotion was manifested. For over and over again, I have seen similar instances of women's kindness. I got back here in time for a late dinner, went my rounds, all well, and set this down whilst waiting for sleep. It is coming. Whew. So that concludes the 10th September diary entry of Dr. Sword. And we are going to move on to the final diary entry of the chapter. We're on Chapter 10 of Bram Stoker's Dracula, if you're just joining us. Thank you, Silent Whisperer, for the raid. Sorry, we're in the middle of a diary entry by Dr. Sword while
welcome, streamers.
Welcome, raiders. Yeah, on Saturday night...
I said streamers, not raiders. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, streamers,
fine.
raiders.
It
Well,
is,
Silent Whisperer's a streamer.
3:45 here, so that's
It's 3:45. Wow. Goodness gracious. Good golly, Miss Molly. Whatever. I do appreciate you staying up to read Dracula with us, Badger.
I know you do.
But yeah, so I do kind of some routine Minecraft work during these reading streams. So I hope y'all will stick around for the last reading of the chapter. We also got a tip during that. Thank you to Magenta for tipping 5, so proving the PayPal does work. That puts us 15 away from the next Face Gamer expansion milestone. And Max is tipping 10, who says, seconding the vote for more reading, hopefully with Badger and whichever other friends you'd like to have as guests too. I would be very glad to have Badger join us for more of these readings. So I'm glad to hear that y'all are enjoying that as well, Max. Seanard tips 20, who says, more encouragement for future reading. Well, we were 5 away from the next Face Gamer expansion. Now we are 15 past that milestone. If you've never seen a Joe Hill stream before, you might not know that the camera gets bigger at certain milestones. So here we go. It's time to expand. Jost. Do. We are going to lower the... Oh no, I accidentally grabbed a totem. We're going to lower the Joe Pasty now to a frigid 32% Fahrenheit, not Celsius. So thank you, Seanard, for the encouragement and the support. That is going to put us now only 5 away from the next Face Gamer expansion milestone. Tips are welcome via paypal.me/JoeHills and YouTube Super Chat. So let's see. I might have to do a hard refresh on the YouTube chat. Something's going on there. Okay, cool. Got that fixed. But yeah, Badger, in general, yeah, I didn't know if Lucy's mom had any lines, so I didn't ask you to play her.
Yeah, I completely forgot as well, so don't worry. No,
But yeah, I was just like, I don't know how to do a good posh British old lady voice. Although keep in mind,
I just did a slightly deeper Lucy.
Yeah, I was gonna say though, like Lucy is probably supposed to be like 17 or 18 though. Lucy's mom is probably our age. Like
Yeah.
this old British lady, she's so old, she's 35. It's like waffle. Thanks expectations of the past.
I mean, and also like life expectancy back then as well. Like she was like properly middle aged.
So yeah, how much till the next expansion, says Gusty Gale? 5. Thank you for the inquiry, Gusty. Okay. Elijah writes in the Discord chat, Badger is an absolute delight. And Centauratron agrees, saying, I love whenever Badger joins. So,
Oh, you're so cute. Yay.
I am very pleased to hear that, because I am also thrilled that Badger has chosen to stay up late and join us. Chloe the Great and Powerful tips 7 and says, Dracula brings me great delight! Delight. Walk toward delight. No, stay away from delight. Wrong light. Either way, that's going to put us $2 past our next Face Gamer expansion milestone. So here we go. It's time to expand. Jost. Do. We are going to lower the Joe Pasty now to 24%. So thank you, Chloe the Great and Powerful. And that's going to put us 18 away from the next Face Gamer expansion milestone. Tips are welcome via paypal.me/JoeHills. Whoa, I accidentally clicked the wrong thing there. And YouTube Super Chat. Let me move. Oh, gosh, the chair's getting caught on something. Okay, I'm like, why is the camera weird? Oh, the camera's weird because the chair is slightly in the wrong place. Gusty Gale tips 5 and writes, Delight. Badger, were you here last night when I was doing my, like, improvisational metal songs?
I think I was possibly watching it in bed, falling asleep. So that would explain the dreams.
Yeah, I bet. Huh. It's so fun to do metal sounding stuff. But yeah, okay. So let's go ahead. Oh, is this chest already partially depleted? Yeah. So I refilled the lava before we got started tonight, while I was setting up the stream. Okay, so
there's a cat trying to attack me right now for cuddles.
Oh no. Can you cuddle the cat while you're on mic?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, I don't want this cat to go uncuddled. That, you know.
No.
I'm
She's
not a
getting
monster.
Her cuddles. She's getting her cuddles. It's fine.
Okay, just checking. Okay. So, let's see. Other things I need to do today. While we are here, I am going to need to work on harvesting more bones for our skeleton farm, which is always in heavy demand. So let's go ahead and just add some chests here and empty that out. It's a little bit harder for me to do inventory sorting stuff while I'm talking. Apparently there's glass in here somehow. I don't know how, but that's good because we need glass, as if you haven't noticed, from the smelter. Okay.
And yes, NJ, it is Lily the cat. Yes.
Okay. Bones, arrows, more bones. Oh wow, there's a lot of bones in here. That's good. The bones are what we actually want from this part, or from this thing.
We could do with those bones in V Rising.
Exactly. Yeah, I haven't ruled out streaming V Rising in the long term. Like, but I just want to, I don't feel like we're far enough in the game. Like, I don't want to do a blind Let's Play of it, because I think I would just get really frustrated all the time. I think it's more fun to do a, like, kind of informed Let's Play, where it's like, okay,
Yeah, that makes sense.
We've at least cleared the middle, like, the middle continent before we start doing that on stream. But I don't know. It seems like people enjoy the game. Like I found out that like at least 2 or 3 of my friends play it too, but trying to find a time that we could do like a big group call.
Yeah, let's join up and clan together.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think they might play on like PvP servers though, which I also don't know if that would be better or worse for streaming, because like
Yeah,
you know, if we got like
true.
people swearing in the chat and stuff, like you know, not my friends, but like, you know, whoever we're playing against, like talking trash, like that gets into be its own.
Apparently, you put your axe in one of those chests.
Oh, it was an accident, I swear.
Did him.
Okay. So, welcome, Tenentor NL. Glad you could join us. We are just about to read the... Okay, I cleared out enough of this that... It's unclogged, is the short version. We have unclogged this barrel system enough that we can come in here and start killing things while we read the final diary entry from Dr. Sword. Okay, good. These aren't backed up yet. I'm just going to throw some of the glass in these. Now, they'll fill
Dusty's talking about cat names and stuff and thing. Her name, my cat's name is Lilith, which is actually Dark Beauty. Yeah, that's what she is.
Okay. Feels like a non-stackable item filter might help there. Yeah, but like, honestly, like we only really run this thing when I'm like reading Dracula, so it's not like it requires a lot of brain power, right? You know, like, let's go ahead and pull up the text of Dracula once more. And Badger, are you ready to carry on into 11th September?
I am indeed.
Dr. Sword's diary, 11th September. This afternoon I went over to Hillingham, found Van Helsing in excellent spirits, and Lucy much better. Shortly after I had arrived, a big parcel from abroad came for the professor. He opened it with much impressment, assumed of course, and showed a great bundle of white flowers.
These are for you, Miss Lucy.
For me? Oh, Dr. Van Helsing.
Yes, my dear, but not for you to play with. These are medicines.
Here Lucy made a wry face.
Nay, but they are not to be taken in a decoction or in nauseous form. You need not snub that so charming nose, or I shall point out to my friend Arthur what woes he may have to endure in seeing so much beauty that he loves so much distort
Aha! My pretty miss, that I bring the so nice nose all straight again. This is medicinal, but you do not know how. I put him in your window. I make pretty wreath and hang him round your neck, so that you sleep well. Ah, yes, they, like the lotus flower, make your trouble forgotten. It smells so like the waters of Lethe, and of that fountain of youth that the conquistadoras sought for in the Floridoras, and find him all too late. Whilst he was speaking, Lucy had been examining the flowers and smelling them. Now she threw them down, saying, with half laughter, half disgust,
Oh, Professor, I believe you are only putting a joke on me. Why, these flowers are only common garlic.
To my surprise, Van Helsing rose up and said with all his sternness, his iron jaw set, and his bushy eyebrows meeting, "No trifling with me! I'd never jest. There is grim purpose in all I do, and I warn you that you do not thwart me. Take care, for the sake of others, if not for your own." Then, seeing poor Lucy scared, as she might well be, he went on, more gently, "Oh, little miss, my dear, do not fear me. I only do for your good, but there is much virtue to you in those so common flowers. See, I place them myself in your room. I make myself the wreath that you are to wear. But hush! No telling to others that make so inquisitive questions. We must obey, and silence is part of obedience, and obedience is to bring you strong and well into loving arms that wait for you. Now, sit a while. Come with me, friend John, and you shall help me deck the room with my garlic, which is all the way from Harlem, where my friend Vanderpool raised herb in his glass houses all the year. I had to telegraph yesterday, or they would not have been here." We went into the room, taking the flowers with us. The professor's actions were certainly odd, and not to be found in any pharmacy that I had heard of. First he fastened up the windows and lashed them securely. Next, taking a handful of flowers, he rubbed them all over the sashes, as though to ensure that every whiff of air that might get in them would be laden with the garlic smell. Then with the wisp he rubbed all over the jamb of the door, above, below, and at each side, and round the fireplace in the same way. It all seemed grotesque to me, and presently I said, "Well, Professor, I know you always have a reason for what you do, but this certainly puzzles me. It is well we have no skeptic here, or he would say you are working some spell to keep out an evil spirit." "Perhaps I am," he answered quietly, as he began to make the wreath which Lucy was to wear round her neck. We then waited whilst Lucy made her toilet for the night, and when she was in bed he came and himself fixed the wreath of garlic round her neck. The last words he said to her were, "Take care you not to disturb it, and even if the room feels close, do not tonight open the window or the door."
I promise. And thank you both 1,000 times for your kindness to me. Oh, what have I done to be blessed with such friends?
As we left the house in my fly, which was waiting, Van Helsing said, "Tonight I can sleep in peace,
and sleep I want. 2 nights of travel, much reading in the day between, and my anxiety on the day to follow, and a night to sit up without to wink. Tomorrow in the morning early, you call for me, and we come together to see our pretty miss. So much more strong for my spell, which I have work. Ha ha!
He seemed so confident that I, remembering my own confidence 2 nights before, and with the baneful result, felt awe and vague terror. It must have been my weakness that made me hesitate to tell it to my friend, but I felt it all the more, like unshed tears. Thus concludes Chapter 10 of Bram Stoker's Dracula. Thank you again, BadgerSpanner, for joining us as the Weston Roz older and younger. Real.
Very, very.
And also, I want to thank James for tipping 20. Wait, hold on. I can do math. I can. Yeah, I'm definitely getting tired. Okay, that puts us $7 past our next face camera expansion milestone. Here we go. It's time to expand. Jost. Alrighty, and we are going to lower the Joe Pasty now to 20%. Thank you very much, James. Okay, so I know sometimes y'all, after the Dracula stream, I stick around for a little while, but yeah, we did about 3 hours of build contest streaming earlier today, which took a lot out of me, and I know Badger probably needs to get to bed as well. So
Yeah, it's just gone past 4 in the morning.
well, it is a great kindness you do to all of us to join us for these readings. So once again, thank you, Badger. I'm gonna figure out who we're gonna raid. Let me see what we've got here in our directory / following. Bum 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 bum. Do 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 do. Wow. Let's see. Is this his setup screen or is he actually just chatting? Hold on. Starting soon. It looks like he might not be playing games. Okay, we're gonna raid somebody I don't really know. Then because the people I know are like on Be Right Back screens or not playing things that I think y'all would enjoy. So here's somebody that I'm following, but I don't really know very well, named Kingpinner Classics, who's playing Jurassic Park. So we're gonna go ahead and /raid Kingpinner Classics. Like I said, this is somebody I don't really know very well, so be on your best behavior. But also, if this was a bad raid, it was driven by exhaustion. For like Van Helsing and Dr. Seward, we too must rest. So.
Now, as Lucy says, lay your head down and dream and pray for my happiness.
Until next time, y'all, this is Joe Hills from Nashville, Tennessee, joined by BadgerSpanner. Thank you again, Badger, and keep adventuring.
Keep adventuring.